I used to lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. What if I fail? What if I say something wrong? What if I'm just not enough? It felt like I was being responsible, like I was planning ahead, but what I was really doing was avoiding. I didn't know it at the time, but my overthinking wasn't strategy, it was fear, fear wearing a clever disguise. Every time I delayed making a decision, I told myself, I'm just thinking it through. But the truth? I wasn't thinking. I was rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Over and over. Sometimes I'd even feel proud thinking I was being cautious or wise. But underneath it all, I was scared. Scared of making the wrong move. Scared of regret. Scared of what people might think. Everything shifted the day I met up with an old friend. We were catching up over coffee, and I started talking about all the things I'd wanted to do, but never started. He looked at me and laughed gently. He said, "You don't overthink, you overfear." I smiled, confused. "I just like to be prepared," I told him. He shook his head. "Preparation is useful," he said, "but you're stuck. That's not planning, that's paralysis." That sentence hit me like a cold splash of water. Was I really just afraid? In the days that followed, I started paying closer attention. Every time I caught myself spiraling in thoughts, I asked, what decision am I avoiding right now? And almost every time the answer was clear. I was avoiding action. Overthinking wasn't helping me solve anything. It was just protecting me from having to act and possibly fail. One day, I sat down and wrote out all the thoughts circling in my head. Then I went through each one asking, is this thought helping me solve a problem or avoid one? That's when it clicked. Most of my thoughts weren't about finding answers. They were about controlling outcomes, especially the ones that scared me. Dr. Susan David, a Harvard psychologist and expert on emotional agility, says, "Courage is not the absence of fear, it's fear walking." That line stayed with me because I realized I didn't need to eliminate fear. I just needed to stop letting it pretend to be logic. I started seeing this everywhere. At work, I'd hesitate to speak up in meetings. Thoughts like, what if I sound stupid, would hold me back. But I began catching myself mid-thought, reminding myself, this isn't wisdom. This is fear trying to sound smart. So I'd speak up anyway, and most of the time, nothing bad happened. Sometimes people even thanked me for my input. That's when I realized fear loses its power when you name it. Later, during a session with my coach, I said, I hate how much I overthink. She smiled and said, overthinking isn't the problem, avoidance is. You're trying to think your way out of discomfort. It made sense because discomfort is unpredictable, and fear wants certainty, so it keeps us stuck in mental loops, offering illusions of control. That day I made a new rule for myself. If a thought shows up repeatedly without leading me to action, it's not a plan, it's fear. And fear needs compassion, not control. So I started treating those thoughts differently. I wrote them down, I challenged them. Sometimes I'd even say out loud, I see you, fear, but I'm moving anyway. Over time, I didn't stop overthinking completely, but I stopped believing everything I thought. I learned to recognize the difference between useful reflection and fear-based analysis paralysis. Psychologist Dr. Brené Brown puts it this way, you can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot choose both. And that line, it stuck with me. Because overthinking was my comfort zone. It gave me the illusion of safety, but it also cost me momentum, growth, and peace of mind. Now, when I catch myself spiraling, I pause and ask, what's the fear behind this thought? And almost always, it's something small. Fear of being judged, fear of failure, fear of regret. But those fears grow in silence. And the moment I name them, they shrink. So no, I'm not cured of overthinking, but I'm no longer a hostage to it. I've learned that action, even small imperfect steps, is often the antidote. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to see fear clearly, without letting it drive the car. So if you find yourself trapped in your mind, stuck in the endless loops of what-ifs, pause and ask yourself this: what decision am I afraid to make right now? The answer might not be easy, but it will be honest. And sometimes honesty is all it takes to finally move forward. If this message resonated with you, take a breath and share it with someone who might need it too. Subscribe for more stories that help you untangle your thoughts, find clarity, and grow at your own pace. And remember, it's okay to move slowly. Just don't stay stuck. Thank you for watching.